What's up, Tan? Got the front valence off and the lower piece behind the bumper up here. And I found some more really cool stuff to show you. So here we go. Professionally wired. Always make sure to solder your connections. Just not like this. Damage your frame? Put some Bondo on it. What? Why? Lost your nut? Just use a big Bondo glob behind it. Make sure to use electrical tape. Don't want any water getting in there or anything. So we got the lower valence off, the front valence from down here. And you know, we found some other cool stuff. For one, got frame damage. Got it in an accident and bent your frame a little bit. Well, you put some Bondo on it. You put some body filler on your. Why? What? What is the point of doing this? I'm gonna chip this off of there and see what's underneath there, because I mean, why? No one would ever see that. No one's gonna see that spot right there. There's no other. Why would you do that? Also, all of the wiring underneath here is the same as the other wiring up in the engine bay, and I can tell you that underneath all of this electrical tape is going to be wiring connections just like I found under the hood. See this? There's electrical tape everywhere, and I can tell you exactly what's underneath there, and it's not good. See, when you start working on a project car, you kind of get to know the guy that worked on it before you. And so I had to redo the whole harness in here, and every single connection in here that was electrical taped, there's a little spot of electrical tape underneath it. It looked like this. Yes. Professional quality repairs. You just take your wire, twist it together, and put some tape on it. And if you're really feeling like a professional, you can get out your soldering iron, and then you can just gloop it on a crimp, and it'll just, I mean, it's gonna be held on there really, really good. And if you're worried that it's gonna come off, you keep globbing the solder on there until it's passes the eye test. Don't do the tug test. Don't pull on it. It might come off. And then that would be bad. Then you have to redo it. So we're gonna get in here. I think first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chip this little bit of Bondo off of the frame here and see why you would do that. See if there's anything back there. Stand by. Bondo on the frame. Bondo on the frame. Yeah, handy dandy little screwdriver. Let's just see what's underneath here. Bondo. Oh, the dent continues. Let's see. Well, it's behind this bracket. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm still not seeing the reason for the season on this one. There's a hole right there. You know what? I have an idea. And see this hole right here? I'm gonna have to check But I don't think that that hole is normally there. It does look awfully oval for a hole that someone drilled. But it could be that someone put this hole here and then hooked this front end up to a frame machine and pulled it from there. I don't know a whole lot about frame pulling, but why would you cover that up with Bondo? Unless for some reason you thought that someone would look under there and be like, oh, this car's been in an accident. Couldn't tell that from the, different colored fender and all these bent brackets and stuff up underneath here. I bet you it was on a frame machine. I can't tell because a lot of it's behind this. Bracket. Very mysterious. I don't know if there's any other Bondo up here. I'm gonna have to chip on it a little bit more and figure out. Yeah, there's obviously Bondo right next to it, but there doesn't appear to be. Might be some on this side too. I'll have to take this center bracket off, unbolt it from underneath here and from up there and see what's going on back there. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference to me. If the car aligns and drives straight, what do I care? Also, this bracket over here is bent. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this on the camera? What if I changed it here? What if I shade? See that little crease right there in the middle? This little crease, this guy right here, that little bendaroo. You see, he's not on this side. Look over here. See how this one is nice and straight and swoopy, nice and straight and swoopy up on the top there. Yeah, so this bracket is bent. You can kind of see it on the video. If I hold it perfectly straight, you can see it's a little bit. So we'll just hit that with a hammer, or we'll just bend the top part in, and it'll be fine. There's quite a bit of give and those. What I'm not looking forward to is this harness that is all taped up here, because I'm telling you right now, like see this little piece of tape right here? Underneath that, it's gonna be the twisted wire deal. I mean, they should have stuck to these things are garbage. These things are garbage. But they should have stuck to them. You should have stuck to these. Whoever worked in this car before me, you should have stuck to these little crimps, because they're a lot better than what we've got hiding behind all of this electrical tape. I'm telling you right now, it's not good. The other one, this one right here. And it looks like there was some tape on it. You can see some black here. There was some tape on it at some point, but when I pulled it, it was just hanging underneath the car like that. And that's 12 volts right there. The gloop is the ground. That's positive 12 volts, and it was just hanging underneath the car, just hanging out. So you want to make sure that you don't have any shorts like that, because depending on how your car is wired, that can burn them down. So now I have the long process. At least I can sit on the floor. The long process, same thing I did up in the engine bay. And I couldn't get to these because the valence was on. You can see where this is the harness that I redid. Stops here, but it comes into here, and all this electrical tape, and it contains these giant gloops of tape. And I get to cut all the connections that have been exposed, strip them, solder them, heat shrink them, and put them all back together. Now the fun thing is whoever replaced this, the black wire was on sale, because all the wires that they use to replace are black. All the wires are black. They're all the same color. I usually like to try to use black for ground. I'll use red for 12 volt, and then I'll use like blue or some other color for like accessories or switched or whatever. And then in order to differentiate between wires, you can, like, say you have a bunch of red wire, you can put like dots on the wire. Okay, that's the circuit with the dots. Then you can do one with dashes, like single dashes. Then you can do one with double dashes, 2 dash, 2 dash, 2 dash, 2 dash. And that way you at least have some sort of system to follow a wire when they're all the same color. They're not just all black. To top it off, some of the factory wires are black, the ground circuit. So you have to untape the whole thing, and then you got to repair one piece at a time, and just trust. To some extent, you got to trust that the guy that worked on it before you, connected this black with yellow stripe wire through his black wire to the black with yellow stripe wire on the other side. And then you got to fix all the connections, and then you can troubleshoot and diag certain circuits that aren't working after that. But another super cool chunk that fell out when I was taking the valence off is this. I'm not sure if this is some sort of DIY nut. It came off the back of this bolt. So my guy, he lost his 1/2-inch nut, and he decided to make one out of his body filler Bondo. What's happening underneath this light is a whole sculpture on its own. Someone has molded this light out of Bondo, almost the whole thing. Let me show you. Laying on the floor now, from underneath, you can see there's that bolt right there, and there's some Bondo. But then what do we have here? We have a metal strap with a bolt and nut running through it. Maybe there was a crack or a break here. More metal strap. Lots of Bondo. There's the backside of that bolt with no nut on it. We got some more strap over here, and then we got some more body filler, and then the strap goes all the way over to there, and then there on the backside we got this. This is just, I'm gonna get some in my mouth. This hanging off of here. Let's take a look at what this looks like. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, yep, something in the eye. Great. What did we find in there? We found what are you? Oh, are you JB Weld? Sometimes JB Weld smells. You're gray. Oh, most of the flavor of Bondo that's on this car is pink. They were partial to the pink flavor. But this is gray. This is not the pink Bondo. So this whole light is just, you can see it back in here. The whole thing's been cobbled. So I'll probably have to buy another one of these. And they're not cheap, which maybe is why they decided to mold their own at home. It takes some skill to do that, I'm telling you though. Alright, so I'm gonna untape some of this wire, and you don't need to see that. If I find any more cool stuff in here, I will most certainly let you know. BRB. So here's the first part untaped. There's a a whole ball of electrical tape on it. It was wrapped around 55 times. I mean, it's one thing to splice all the wires together. They're tangled. They're going every which way. So I have to untangle them and figure out where they go and fix them. Some of them are still the original color. We got spiders, so that always makes the task fun. There's spiders in there. But I'm gonna unwrap this one. Haven't unwrapped any of these yet. There's here. There's one here. There's one back here. There's one here. Electrical tape. We got a crimp. We got one crimp here. My guy must have been running low on the crimps because most of these other ones are just taped. I'm gonna untape it and see if it's the same fella that did the under hood wiring. I would imagine so. And what you're gonna find underneath here is twisted together wire taped. Let's see what's behind door number 1. Let's see what's behind door number 1. We're gonna untape it and see together. Yeah. Once again, as predicted. Yeah. So that's how they all are going to be. Let's zoom it. Do you see? Do you see what they've done to me? This wire is barely connected. We twisted, and then we taped it. And we didn't even twist it twice. We twisted it once. Just barely once. So that's what we have going on with every single one of these. So they need to be cut and stripped because they're oxidized now. Some of them, the copper is completely green and like crumbly. It's like barely even connected, which is probably why half of the things on this car don't work. Cut, stripped, soldered, heat shrunk, and put all together, hopefully in a way that's not tangled like this. And then we'll put nice weave on it, not this, whatever this stuff is. That's awful. This corrugated crumble cover that ends up just disintegrating into nothing. And I can tell you right now, we've got two more taped wires here. They're all going to be just like this, twisted together, and there's going to be a lot more of them all along inside of here, varying lengths, and you know, you don't need to pull out your wire and see how long you need, because you just double it over inside of here, 12 times. You just stack you bend it and you twist it and you stack it, and then you grab it like this, and then you grab an entire roll of electrical tape, and then you just tape the whole thing up, and then yeah, you're good. Nope. So that'll be my project though. This will take me a whole week probably. Take all of this apart and untangle it, undo all of the extra under the hood. I had probably 15 feet of wire at the end of it that I ended up just cutting out because you didn't need it. Untangle it all and fix it and put it all back together. And then after that, we're gonna take the rock guard off, see if we can unglue it from this contraption over here, whatever they've got going on over here. Figure out if I need to buy a new one of these. These are not cheap. Take the fenders off. Take a look behind this side especially, and see what we see. I will let you know what we see. Okay. Second part of the harness, we got more extra wire just doubled over in here, all black. Maybe our guy just wanted to keep some extra wire on hand for, you know, roadside repairs. You know, impromptu automotive repair session. Okay, I'm gonna keep on taping. So we got all the electrical tape off. Dun, 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 dun. Electrical tape off, great. Let's see how many of these. Yeah, more extra wire, more extra wire. Look at all this extra wire. It comes out. Look at all this extra wire. Look how long this is compared to these ones. Maybe we can turn some of this in. Copper's high. We can make some money. It's like a little miniature gold mine over here. Copper mine, I guess. Let's see how many of these little connections we need to replace and untangle the whole thing to satisfaction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, this guy's looking a little bit crunchy. Might have got hot. Oh, he has a little bit of copper showing there. And a little bit of copper showing in that one too. What was that? 8, 9, 10, 11. What's the point of this? Why do we need this piece of 1/2-inch split loom on 2 wires? Yeah, spiders. It's just a place for spiders, I guess. Ugh. Not. Don't like that. Oh, great. Good thing I can get the fan off. Okay, so where was that? That was 11 there. That one. That's probably 12. 13. 5 miles down the road. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 up here. Is this one, 20 is this one. So about 20 cut, strip, solder, heat shrink. So I'll see you in a month. I'm probably gonna take the rock guard off, just so that I can get in here better. Because soldering in tight spaces is not fun. I'll pull this bolt out of here. The ones that hold it in this, and then those 2 up there. I'll pull this whole center brace out, and I'll wire wheel this whole front frame and just see what's going on with the filler and stuff like that, because I am intrigued as to why we would have done this. I'm very intrigued. It's always fun. Projects are fun, you know. You get to learn a little bit about the guy who worked in it before you, the guy who worked in it before him. You know. The saga continues with the frame. I don't know if you can hear this on camera, but this is the sound of the metal. And this is Bondo. This one kind of sounds rubbery. Listen to this. Bondo all the way to here, maybe? Bondo. But why? So this little scrape test. Yeah, Bondo there, Bondo there. Bondo there. Bondo. 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 That's metal. Over here. Bondo. 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 What? Bondo. Bondo on the frame. Why? Maybe up top? Yes? Bondo up top. Bondo up top. Bondo up top. And that's metal over there. What? What? Was the why? Let's hit it with our little zip wheel. Let's see if we can see some more Bondi spots without wrapping ourselves up in all this wire. And so there's Bondo there. Yeah. Bondo. It's good to breathe this stuff in. Bondo, how deep does that go? It's so deep. What? Okay, so it's a 1/4 inch. But why? Well, that's over there. Like 1/8 of an inch there. Well, I'm just gonna have to strip this whole thing off and figure out why we did what we did here. That's pretty shallow. That's deeper. That's deeper. My goodness. Let's get bit by one of those harness spiders. Spiders. Got something here. Now we got some bronze solder, braze, something in there. What are we doing? I mean, it's gonna take me forever to grind all this up here. I mean, it's everywhere. I don't. Asbestos, probably. I don't know. I will check in when I need to go put on a mask, probably, and this is, I mean, maybe, you know what happened? Some kid and his buddies were like, let's take out Dad's Mustang. Let's go hot rodding around Friday night. Dad's out of town. Mom. They go out, smash it into something. And then the kid's buddy's like, oh no, it's fine. We can fix it. My dad's got a 55-gallon bucket of Bondo out in the barn. We'll just... And they sculpted this car back to perfection. Yep. That's gotta be what happened. Okay. So I ground off all of the body filler that was on here. And there was a lot of it. Use this to hog most of it out. Stripper, wheel, and then all the small nooks and crannies, just a wire, wheel. This works really good on the filler. It really starts to dig it out, but when there's paint on top of it, it just kind of slides on top, so I couldn't use that really for the whole thing. I have no idea why there was so much body filler on here, especially up on the top. They had it built up to a 1/2 inch. In this low spot, almost a full inch of body filler. And it looks like, so maybe if it was hit, the big spot was here where this crinkle is, and then maybe this like bronze, braze, whatever this stuff is where they filled the hole that they put in it when they pulled it out, maybe on like a frame rack or I don't know, come along or something like that. This hole that was next to, this is where the Bondo was originally failing. That looks like a factory hole to me. These other little ones, I'm not sure. They could be like snaps for the harness that goes across here, like those little like push loop snaps. But with the Bondo all over this is like semi-hollow on the backside, so water can splash up behind there, moisture can get back there, and eventually all of these holes, boom, 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 they would have started to fail just like this one did. You can't see it now, but moisture had gotten back behind here. This was all covered in Bondo, and this is where that original crack was right down here. And it was all rusted behind here. So moisture had gotten in here, gotten in between the layer of the Bondo, the body filler, and the metal, and just crept its way down, and it was all rusted back here. And that would have ended up happening to the whole thing. And that's how a lot of this car was. The Bondo, failed a little bit or cracked. Moisture got inside of it, started rusting, started working its way around in there, and then you have nice, smooth body filler on the top, and everything underneath it is just, the metal's been eaten away. It locks that moisture inside of there, and the Bondo actually can absorb a little bit of moisture, acts kind of like a little bit of a sponge, and it gets wet and it sits there and just very slowly eats away the metal. So I don't know. I understand probably why they filled this in. It's because they wanted to make it look like everything was fine, instead of just cutting this piece out and replacing it. But in my opinion, it's not a huge deal for how much Bondo was on there. I don't think that it warrants that much Bondo. I think that if you paint this, just this flat chassis black, like the same as everything else, you would hardly ever even notice this. And the cars are 60 years old now, and half of them have been in accidents anyway, so it's not like, this car is rotten. It came out of Salt Lake, and like there's rust on it everywhere. So, passing it off as, it's never been in an accident. I don't think anybody cares, unless that's, a 30-year-old repair. I don't think that it is, but who knows? So next up is repairing all of these wires that we talked about that are all twisted together, like this guy right here. Yep. And there's one over here that when I zip tied this harness up, just to give myself a little bit more room when I was working on this down here, one of the wires just pulled straight out of its little crimp. I don't even know where the other end of it is, but it was in one of those little crimp connectors. There it is. Yep. So that guy went in there. And that just pulled out, and you can see how oxidized that copper is. That wasn't making a very good connection at all, if it even was. So slowly replace all of these, and I'll loom it. And then there's just a short section where this goes through the firewall. There's just a short section where it goes underneath the battery tray. You can see one of the wires right there, up to the starter solenoid where it gets its battery power off of this post right here. Sorry. This post right here, those little eyelets is where it gets battery power. And then there's just like a couple of powers and grounds that go to the back of the alternator and then ground to the block right there. So once that's done, that will be the whole span of the engine bay. I already did the voltage regulator, and I put new ends on it and heat shrunk those. Those are just like spades that just happen to press over the terminals on there perfectly. There's the factory harness that went on there. Obviously, this is not the original voltage regulator. The factory like harness plug for the voltage regulator. The other one must have gone bad because the whole plug was like bubbled, like melted and bubbled, like it got super hot. Like maybe it was like overcharging or just had a bunch of resistance or something like that. But this whole harness, even though it's all dusty now because of all the Bondo grinding that I've been doing, this whole harness in here is all done and repaired. And the same number of wires, I don't know, it was like 20 something down here. The same splices were all along inside of here. So I trimmed those wires and did all that. And I guess those ones I can do. That's just the oil pressure sender down there, and the coolant temp sensor is on the back of the head there, and that's just in that cheap orange split loom, so I can just cover that up. I've already redone the ends on both of those. So this harness is done. This main harness is done all the way up to the firewall. That plug is for the it's for the washer fluid, the windshield washer pump. Maybe, I don't remember what that went to, but it's not important. Whatever it goes to, it's not there anymore. So that's the way that a lot of the harnesses on these cars. There's, for an old car, for a 60s car that you would think is very simply wired, headlights, taillights, turn signal, all the ignition stuff, and then the radio inside. It has a crazy wiring harness inside of the car, and that's mostly because this car came with the tilt-away steering column. The steering column, the way that it used to work, or what it's supposed to work when the car is new and everything's functioning properly, there's like a little push pin in the door, like the same thing that you would find that like turns on your dome light, like when you open the door, it can tell when the door's open and closed. There's a second one that works with the steering wheel, and when you open the door, it would use like stored engine vacuum in a vacuum canister underneath the dash to energize the solenoid, which allowed vacuum to like pull on a cable that made the steering wheel tilt up like a regular wheel, up away from the driver, and then also towards the center of the car. So it would tilt up and away to, I don't know, let you get in and out easier. And there's all kinds of wiring involved in that for like safety things, like when the wheel is in the up and away position, like the car won't start. And I mean, there are more wires underneath that dash than you would believe for a 1960s car. It's unbelievable. So that is probably the next step, is to go in there and just like pull out stuff that's not supposed to be there. I don't know if they use like all the same harnesses for these cars, like came with like AC and stuff like that. It seems like there's a bunch of wires underneath there that aren't even connected to anything, but stuff still works. The only thing that's disconnected is the is the radio, and that's just like a couple of wires. I don't know what all the other wires are for. Maybe they're just, you know, extras from the factory harness. But you can buy complete harnesses for these cars that are, they're made so that like every wire is the correct like color scheme for the circuit. Like this wire up here is you know, red with the black stripe, and you know, the horn is the blue with the yellow stripe. You can buy harnesses that are like colored exactly the way that they're supposed to be, so that you can use the factory like circuit diagram if you have to like diagnose stuff. But they're like, I mean, those harnesses are like $1,000. Are they worth it? Maybe. Maybe I should buy one. Yeah, we'll see what we can do with this one first. We have time. And it's, you know, it's a project car, so, you know, people will tell you, you want to buy a project car, you're going to get your money's worth. You're going to get your money's worth. When you go out and buy a project car, you get a lot of projects for your money, usually. You get a lot of projects for your money. So, can't say that anybody ripped you off. You wanted a project, you got one. Can't wait to see what's going on with this headlight bucket. That's going to be spicy. It's going to be a work of art. Maybe we can submit it to a museum. There's some artifacts in there. We can go digging. Okay, that's all for now. Maybe I'll show you one. I'll do one. I'll do one of these on the camera. I'm not gonna film them all. I'm not gonna do a time lapse. We're not gonna do that. I'll show one, and then I'll show what it looks like when it's done. And I'll probably paint this and not show that either, because it doesn't matter. You don't need to see that. But you'll see what it looks like when it's done, and you'll see that it will look better than it does now in black. And unless you were really looking for it, you would never notice that anything is wrong with it. So let's get to it. So I'm going to be painting this frame piece here with this Rust-Oleum. I'll be brushing it on. Pros and cons to the Rust-Oleum. I use this a lot on stuff underneath the car, you know, frame pieces, suspension parts, arms, stuff like that. It's oil-based, so water doesn't like it. It's cheap-ish. I mean, it's cheaper than some other coatings. Like, you know, some people are gonna put like bed liner underneath their cars. You better make sure that everything underneath your car is right and straight, because taking off some of that bed liner stuff is really difficult. It's this Rust-Oleum, this oil-based stuff. It's a little bit more chip resistant than like stuff out of a spray can, like spray Rust-Oleum. And if you do get any little, you know, rock chips, you're gonna get rock chips. It's underneath the car. It's cheap enough that I mean, you can just brush some more on and you'll be fine. Cons to it is not very UV resistant. So, you know, if you thought you were gonna paint like a little trailer or like a toolbox or something like that was gonna be in the sun, it'll chalk up and fail in the sun pretty quickly, and so it's not great to use. Underneath the car, it lasts pretty long. I use it on my truck frame. I use it on some of the stuff on this car, like these. This is the Rust-Oleum stuff. That's the satin also. I mean, it's a little bit shiny. It's not flat, and it's not gloss. I don't really like the way that the glossy looks. I think it's a little bit distracting, but all this inside of here, like that satin black. So it just, yeah. So I'll be brushing this on here, and I will show you what it looks like when it's done. Well, I painted a little bit more than I set out to. as one does when the paint can comes out. So I did this whole deal here in the front and down the bottom and all along the top. And I did a little bit on there and these supports here, inside of here, just some underneath stuff. Same thing over there, that one. So when this dries, it will look nice and satin. It'll basically match what's up there. And that'll be that. I might put another coat on it once it's completely dry. It was starting to get a little bit gummy, so I left it alone. This is obviously the worst part right here, and it looks not great when the paint is wet. So from far away, yeah, it's not too bad. We've seen worse. It'll be fine. We got about 13 pounds of body filler taken off of there, so the weight savings are worth it. I don't think you'll ever notice that. It doesn't look bad from the top either. From up here, it's a little wrinkly, obviously, but I imagine that brace spot, yeah, that's where it wrinkled, got hit over here on this corner, pushed this in, smoked the radiator, and they drilled a hole in it and pulled it out, and then they filled up with braze for whatever reason. I'm not sure why even bother filling it up, but they pulled it out, and I don't know, as long as the car aligns and drives straight, it should be fine. So on to the wiring next. Yay. Look at that guy just taunting me. Well, he's got friends. All right, now we're getting into the soldering of the wires. We've done a couple of them. Here's one. Yeah, wiring's always fun. I know it looks bad. Wiring always looks bad when all the wires are out and everything, but I promise it will. It always looks better once you're finished. We'll loom it all up, and probably what we'll do is we'll continue the harness that comes out of here and tape this up, and then these two plug harnesses for the headlight and the side marker that go into these guys. We'll probably pop them out of the harness. We'll tape it like to here, and then we'll pop these guys out of the loom here, and then down below it, we'll tape all these together and pin it back up how it was, and it will all look nice. And everyone's like, but Steve, you said if we were good, you'd show us soldering one of them. So I guess. Hang on, let me set up the tripod, and we'll do one. He's gonna do one. Okay, we're on the tripod. I guess we'll do one of these. We'll do this one here. We'll do this one. Let's untape it. Figure out where he's taped on there. I'm gonna take this guy over here. Electrical tape. Yeah. Okay. Now it says untape it. Okay, great. So that's that guy in there. So what we're gonna do is take this guy up there like that, and then we're just gonna grab our little cutters here, and we will cut these guys off. Cool. Soldering is kind of like soldering on the internet is kind of like it's kind of like welding. You show your weld on the internet, and you got 500 professional welders in the comment section telling you how terrible you are at it. So this is just the way that I do it. I'm gonna strip these guys. This is the black wire guy. Pull him off of here. Like that. And we'll twist that on. Okay, great. Got it. And twist this up. I'll tell you right now, don't forget your heat shrink, because I've probably done this 500 times. You always forget to put on your heat shrink. You gotta undo it. Do it again. Heat shrink is on. And take the other wire. Strippers. Wire strip this guy over here. And I connect. Twist in. It's much better wire. Twist in so the ends are twisted. Cool. So then what I do is I take these two ends. Some people, you can solder them. You can solder them like this. Zap those together, glue them with the solder. But then if your solder cracks, they can just, and then, start a fire, electrocute your grandma, who knows. So what I would like to do is, take this in here, and I'm going to use about half of it. I'm going to fold it in half, almost over onto itself, and then with the other side, see if I can do this. I'm looking at the camera, so doing it for you, doing it so you can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna take this other one, and we're gonna fold him in half also. So now we got these two, and we'll kind of pinch them down on each other. And then we end up with something like this, little kind of knot, so that they see I'm pulling on them. Got a little bit of mechanical connection there, so that if your solder connection cracks or breaks or whatever, you don't end up with wires that can just pull themselves straight apart. So I'm gonna take this. They make those fancy little clippy hand deals. Hold this in place. They're handy. I don't have any of them. I've got some of these. Binder clamp. So I'll put that there. And now let's see if I can do this. Oh man, get right in front of the light here so that nobody can see anything. Great. Excellent. Maybe we'll pinch. Maybe we'll make a small pinch in this. Get that in there nice and tight. Get this guy down here a little tighter. That's fine. It's good. Okay. So now we'll plug in our soldering iron. Wait for that to heat up. Make sure that your soldering iron is. I have the fan off, so you're welcome. I'm dying. It's like 140 degrees out here. Make sure that your soldering iron, as she heats up and starts to boil, all the solder that's on there is right in front of your fan, so that you get that atomized lead fumes straight to the lungs. That's really important for lowering your IQ. It'll make you not care about your wiring disaster as much, I suppose. So let that heat up. Got my heat gun ready. And okay, we got it zoomed in here. Heat gun's probably hot. We are using Radio Shack. Wow, you don't see that? Radio Shack 050 wire. I like to get a little piece sticking off the front so I can, the soldering iron. So let's see if we can make something happen here with the camera right in front of the face. So you gotta heat it up. The key to soldering is to make the wire, the copper wire that you are soldering, super duper hot so that your solder will wick into it. If it's not hot enough, it'll just drip off. Like, you ever put some splash of water into a hot pan, and the drops of water just kind of slide around in there all crazy? It's kind of like that. So you want to make sure that it's hot. See, it's hot. Yeah, she cooking. Okie dokie. So we're gonna touch this on here. This is a very difficult position to be in. Start to cook that wire up there. Let's see if we can start to take some wire from the little bit more on the bottom, maybe. Drop your soldering iron in your lap. You'll have a bad time with that. Like that. Swap over to the heat gun. Don't touch that, super duper hot. After that cools off a little bit, pull our clip out. Take a look. And we're going to slide our heat shrink over it. Make sure your heat shrink end is still open. You can feel kind of when your joint is right here in the middle. And heat shrink it. I'm trying to burn your fingers off. And there we go. On to the next one. I've done 6. So I think I've got about 14, 15 more to go. Yay. That wire that was getting crispy before. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. This is where I was about to solder it. You go up a little ways. And that's copper showing there, so that may have been shorting out on something, or just got close to something that got hot. So we had to cut it up here. Just past that and soldered up there. Luckily we've got 55 feet of extra wire here, so no problems. Okay, well that's all of the soldering and heat shrinking done. Boom, 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 all of them. So now it's plug-ins and just harness it all up. Some tape, not the gooey electrical tape, the fabric tape is the good tape. Use scissors to cut the ends of it. And then for the loom, we don't want to use any of that junky split loom. We use the fabric loom also. So let's do that now. Cool. Okay, so it's all done. It's all wrapped up. See the loom. See my plugs. Headlight turn signal. Side marker. Got a new clamp for the middle. Plugs over here coming out of the loom. So now that loom goes through radiator support. Meets up with this one. Goes all the way into the car, through the firewall. The one on this side goes through underneath the battery tray and meets up over here to the starter solenoid. So that's everything is all wrapped up, and it's late and it's hot, and I'm done for now. So I will see you next time. Bye bye, Tan Tan.